Can you still feel the excitement of pushing a quarter into a buzzing arcade machine, your heart racing as pixelated aliens marched ever closer? The rush of neon lights, triumphant bleeps, the gentle clack of joystick and button. It was more than just a pastime. It was a world where skill, quick reflexes, and a bit of luck could make you a local legend. In the 1980s, video games were a brand new frontier, transforming basement rec rooms and smoky arcades into places of wonder, friendly competition, and sometimes obsession. The unmistakable smell of buttery popcorn mixed with electronics, Pac-Man's iconic chomp echoing beside you, Gallagher and Donkey Kong weaving their own kind of magic. It all hinted at a future we couldn't yet imagine. Home consoles were just finding their way into our living rooms, drawing the family together with pixelated adventures and battles for high scores. Were you the one who could beat the unbeatable level, or the friend cheering from the side? Let's press start on these memories and see what awaits as we journey back to the golden age of 80s video games. Step back for a moment and picture the world before the word gamer meant anything at all, when high score was a dream, not an obsession. The early 1980s were a time of rapid change, a moment when technology, ingenuity, and the sheer curiosity of young engineers combined to create a playground no one had seen before. But before Mario became a household name or arcade cabinets lined every corner store, there was a simpler era, a crucible where it all began. In the late 1970s, hints of the coming revolution flickered faintly in the corners of electronic stores and the back rooms of bars. Pong, with its two simple paddles and single bouncing dot, was among the first to capture the public's imagination. Released in 1972, it was a marvel of its time, yet compared to what would come in the 80s, it was just the opening act. By the time 1980 rolled around, the world was hungry for more color, more action, and more stories told in glowing lights. It was as if childhood dreams of interactive cartoons had collided head-on with silicon chips. Did you know that the very first arcades were often tucked inside pizza parlors, bowling alleys, and grocery stores? These weren't yet the sprawling, neon-drenched palaces we associate with the heyday of arcades. Instead, the earliest games were curiosities, stealing a few minutes of attention and quarters from patrons on their way to something else. But it wasn't long before dedicated arcades sprang up in shopping malls and city centers across America, each one beckoning with the promise of adventure for the price of a coin. One of the first big names to electrify the scene was Space Invaders. Released in 1978, it set everything in motion, inviting players to fend off endless waves of descending enemies. The arrival of Pac-Man in 1980 was a sensation in its own right, a game which wasn't just about reflexes but also patterns and memory. Within a year, Pac-Man fever swept the nation, inspiring lines out the door and sending video game cabinets on a march across the country, finding homes anywhere people gathered. But here's something most folks have forgotten. During the wild early years, many arcades enforced strict rules. Some posted signs declaring no loitering to keep rowdy teens in check. Others introduced the quarter on the glass tradition, placing your coin on the cabinet's edge to call next and claim your turn. That tiny token, sweating in your palm, was more than just spare change. It was your shot at glory, your chance to etch your initials at the top of the score table for all to see. Have you ever wondered how quickly this trend spread? Astonishingly, by 1982, there were estimated to be more than 13,000 full-scale arcades in the United States, with almost 400,000 cabinets filling these spaces. The coin-op industry became so massive that for a time, arcade games were making more money than the American box office. Yes, believe it or not, Space Invaders and Pac-Man were bigger than Hollywood's biggest blockbusters. The early evolution of home video gaming also had its roots in this era. Before the Nintendo Entertainment System swept the world, there was the Atari 2600, the wood-paneled marvel that found its way into millions of living rooms. With fat, blocky cartridges and single-button joysticks, its games seem humble today, but at the time they offered magic. The ability to play something like Space Invaders or Asteroids anytime you wanted, rain or shine,
alone or with family.
But here's a surprising nugget. The very first home video game console was actually the Magnavox Odyssey, released in 1972. It came with screen overlays, plastic sheets you'd stick to your TV to simulate color. Have you ever seen or played with one of those? It's the kind of memory that only a handful of lucky folks can claim, a tactile reminder of how far we've come. By the early 80s, new companies popped up seemingly overnight. Coleco, Mattel, even Milton Bradley trying their hand at electronic amusements. The competition was fierce, the technology evolving at breakneck speed. Every holiday season brought new must-have games and gadgets, and there was a genuine sense of wonder each time you peeled back the wrapping paper to reveal a new cartridge or controller. Yet, amid the excitement, there were moments of awkwardness too. Parents and grandparents would squint at flickering screens, struggling to make sense of Centipede's relentless chaos or the ever-looping patterns of Frogger. Sometimes a dad or mum would join in, gamely moving the joystick and laughing at their own clumsy attempts. Do you remember showing an older family member how to play? Maybe you got a laugh out of a parent's confusion, or maybe, just once, they surprised you with a sudden winning streak. That's not all that was unexpected. While arcade glory and home gaming defined much of youth culture, the video game explosion also brought with it concerns. News stories in the early 80s warned of Pac-mania and joystick addiction, worrying that kids spent too much time glued to screens. Yet looking back, maybe there was something strangely social about it all. Kids gathered in clusters, swapping tips or cheering each other on, forging friendships over misspent quarters and shared popcorn. So when you think of those early days, lining up for your turn, gripping the controls just a little too tightly, chasing one more life or a better high score, what comes to mind? Was there a particular game that gripped your imagination? Or do you remember the glow of the arcade itself, a little world apart from the worries of homework and chores? But we're just getting started on this journey through the golden age. As the 80s rolled forward, both the games and the technology behind them would leap forward in astonishing ways. New genres, splashy graphics, and unforgettable soundtracks would soon arrive, changing the landscape forever. The best was yet to come, and in the next part, we'll step straight into the heartbeat of the arcade, the wild innovations and dazzling breakthroughs that put 80s video games firmly on the map. Ready to press start once again? As we close out this stroll down memory lane, it's hard not to smile at just how much those 80s video games shaped our lives and brought us together. We've journeyed from the earliest glow of Space Invaders and the pizza parlor arcades through the heyday of Pac-Man fever, all the way to the living room battlegrounds of home consoles, like the Atari 2600. We remembered the thrill of a new high score, the glory of seeing your initials at the top of the leaderboard, and the simple pleasure of lining up a quarter for your turn, a small act that carried big dreams. Those blocky, pixel-filled worlds offered more than escape. They sparked imagination, friendly competition, and a sense of community. Whether you were mastering Gallagher, navigating Frogger's busy freeway, or sharing in the laughter and groans over a tough level, these games wove themselves into the fabric of our friendships and
family traditions.
Looking back, it's remarkable how something as simple as pressing a button or jostling a joystick connected us so deeply. In the arcades, We found a space to chase challenges and celebrate triumphs big and small. In our homes, consoles gathered us around fuzzy screens, parents and siblings crowding in for just one more try. It wasn't always about the highest score or the flashiest graphics. It was about the moment shared, the memories made, and the stories we still tell each other decades later. These games reflected the optimism and energy of the era, their melodies and colors now embedded in the soundtracks of our own personal histories. In today's world of endless entertainment options, it's easy to overlook the impact of those early digital worlds. The games weren't just machines and pixels, they were a bonding ground. They taught us about competition, patience, and even dealing with defeat. Sometimes, all they gave us was a reason to laugh, grab a slice of pizza, and make a new friend. Isn't it funny how a handful of quarters and a few hours in a neon-lit arcade could turn into
Memories that last a lifetime?
So, what about you? Which game from the 80s still brings a smile to your face or perhaps a groan as you recall that one impossible level? Did you have a signature move, a go-to arcade game, or a favorite spot you and your friends would meet after school? Maybe you remember teaching a family member how to play or sharing a victory you never quite topped. Take a moment to share your favorite 80s video game memory in the comments below. Let's fill this space with everyone's stories and keep the spirit of those legendary arcades alive. If you enjoyed revisiting this era, please give this video a like. It helps others find their way back to these memories too. Don't forget to subscribe for more journeys through the decades. And if you know someone who would love to relive these moments, share this with them and spark a conversation. We have even more classic memories to explore in future videos, so stay tuned. Thanks for joining me as we plugged in, pressed start, and remembered what made the 80s gaming scene so special. Just like the warm hum of an arcade or the satisfying click of a joystick in your hand, these memories still remind us that some of the best adventures can be found in the simplest of moments. Until next time, keep those memories alive, and may your high scores never fade.